We just want to help people. We're going to do whatever we can. And that's why we're here.
Gabby Petito's parents plan to sue the Moab Police Department. We heard from them today about their daughter and what they hope to accomplish.
Incredible video of a man being rescued after he was pinned under a car. What we're learning tonight about the crash and the moments leading up to witnesses stepping in to help.
The FBI raids the Florida home of former President Donald Trump, what they're looking for, and how Mr. Trump is responding tonight.
It was a nice start to the week with clear sky, but changes are coming. For tomorrow, we do have some areas of flooding concerns. I'll let you know where, plus the timing of a cool down.
I know I could have lost my life, and I am grateful every day.
Two people who almost lost their lives reunited with those who saved them. How those men and women were recognized for those life-saving efforts.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
It has been nearly 1 year since this video was recorded at the entrance to Arches National Park, weeks before Gabby Petito died at the hands of her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, who later took his own life. Today, Petito's parents and step-parents talked about their daughter and announced their intention to sue Moab police for $50 million.
They say Moab officers should have seen warning signs and taken more action to intervene in an abusive relationship. Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee will have an in-depth reaction on what suing Moab police means in the bigger picture.
But we begin tonight our team coverage with Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth.
We don't know the day Gabby Petito died or all that happened between Moab and Jackson Hole last summer. So this legal action is about the one time we know Petito interacted with someone in authority who might have intervened.
We've been fighting all morning and...
On a Zoom link, Gabby Petito's parents and step-parents talk about their darkest days and about the last video they have of Gabby from police body camera.
Watching it is very painful, and I wanted to jump through the screen and rescue her.
Rescue her from the boyfriend who would eventually kill her weeks later and hundreds of miles away near Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on and it was more just like, you're an idiot. Like, you know.
The family announcing their intent to sue Moab police
for their negligent failure to first understand the law and enforce it, and second, for the wrongful death of their daughter.
They see this police video as proof Moab officers should have seen signs of abuse and perhaps could have saved their daughter.
This is just bringing back a lot of pain. Sorry. We just want to help people. We're going to do whatever we can. And that's why we're here.
The lawsuit has two goals.
We believe that the only effective way to correct these problems is to hold our institutions accountable for their failures.
Goal 1, accountability. And Goal 2, public awareness of domestic violence and the work of the foundation named after Gabby Petito.
Her legacy is to help people, that don't see a way out. And there are.
You're better than that, and you can get out. Just do it safely. Reach out to someone that you trust.
This press conference was over Zoom because what they filed today was not the lawsuit, but the intent to sue. You have to do that and then go through a process in order to get permission to sue a government agency, despite laws making governments immune from lawsuits. They say they will come to Utah when it's time to file a suit itself. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We continue our team coverage tonight as Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee looks into how law enforcement identifies and handles a potential domestic situation.
He joins us live in studio tonight. Brian.
Bob and Kelly, good evening. And speaking with a former high-ranking member of law enforcement tonight, it's clear that the expectations for officers investigating a domestic situation, regardless of where you are in the state, is the same. But each officer is different. So is the culture, trainings, and teachings for the department they work for.
And he wouldn't let me in the car before.
This situation with Gabby Petito was, it was a national issue, and it's a tragedy. It really is.
The incident that played out between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie in Moab was seen across the world. Now, after her death, The Petito family is focusing on the Moab Police Department and how they handled that situation.
I think that the Petito family is not necessarily looking for monetary, they're looking for change. And you know, I think that somewhere in the middle is the truth, and I think we hope that that's where they get.
Former Unified Police Department Deputy Police Chief Chris Bertram says these domestic situations for officers are complex and require quick, tough decisions.
I think this is a perfect opportunity with regards to what happened in Moab, that we reevaluate what it is that we expect from our law enforcement officers. And it may be, we don't need to reevaluate anything. You've been told what to do. You will now do that.
What happened on August 12, 2021 was investigated by an outside investigator from the Price Police Department. In this lengthy report, the investigator concluded that even though Gabby was determined to be the predominant aggressor as it relates to this incident, quote, it's very likely Gabby was a long-term victim of domestic violence.
We asked something very difficult of police officers. We asked them to try to get all that information in a very short period of time.
The investigator acknowledged that mistakes were made, but said, quote, if this case was handled flawlessly, would it have changed anything? Nobody knows.
You're doing that investigation in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and you've got to make a decision on what you're going to do with regards to arrest. That's local law enforcement.
Utah Peace Officer Standards and Training, or POST, who provides annual training to officers across the state, said regarding domestic violence situations that POST instructs cadets regarding their powers and duties to arrest, including the ability to issue a citation if probable cause exists. Bertram says most of the additional training that officers receive in their departments may be specific to the communities they serve.
Because things have become more complex, maybe we need to come back around the other side and give more direction to the police departments, to the communities, and to the police officers on what they have to do with regards to domestic violence cases.
Included in that independent review of how Moab police handled the incident was a statement from the city of Moab. They said that plans are in place to add a trained domestic violence specialist to oversee incidents investigated by officers, and they will implement training and testing to ensure officers understand policies. I reached out to the city of Moab to see if either has been done. They told me that they won't comment on anything related to this pending litigation. Live in studio tonight, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Brian, thank you. A man is recovering tonight after being hit and pinned under a car late last night in West Valley City. This is video of the moment of that crash. This is in the parking lot of an apartment complex at 40th South Redwood Road. Most of the people were able to get out of the way, but one man was run over and trapped under the car. Witnesses quickly lifted the car enough to get him out. Police tell us the man has broken bones but is expected to survive. The driver, Gabriel Yates, was booked into jail on suspicion of DUI after witnesses detained him.
We're learning more about what led up to a shooting of a man by police in West Valley City yesterday afternoon. Investigators say a 39-year-old man and a 41-year-old man were arguing over a suspected theft. The 39-year-old then shot the other man, grazing his head. The suspect was then shot inside the indoor swap meet by police shortly after. Police say the victim refused to be taken to the hospital and was treated on scene. The suspect is now in the hospital and is stable. His identity will not be released until he is booked into jail or charged with a crime. Suspected cases of monkeypox in Utah continue to rise. The Utah Department of Health and Human Services today announced 54 confirmed and probable cases of the virus. Now, the majority of those are in Salt Lake County. More than 1,200 people have been vaccinated. Monkeypox is spread through close skin-to-skin transmission. Currently, vaccine supplies are limited and are only available to those deemed most at risk.
All of Utah Lake is under a health watch now for toxic algae. The Department of Environmental Quality has put the entire lake under a health watch for harmful algal blooms. But a more specific health warning has been issued for Lincoln Marina, Utah Lake State Park, Sandy Beach, and Provo Bay.
I know in the past we've had areas of Utah Lake that were under that warning, but now the whole lake, Allison, I know weather has a lot to do with it, the heat.
Yes, absolutely. The heat will continue. And I also wanted to start off with a pop quiz for you guys.
Oh,
I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you guys to guess where it's from, okay?
Okay.
And this is the hint right here.
Oh, the mountains.
Switzerland? Yes, the mountains. Notice Switzerland. This was Timpanogos. We had Luz
Timpanogos.
send this picture in.
That's
so
a mountain.
That is an amazing picture. Thank you so much for sharing that with us in our Facebook group, Utah's Weather Authority. If you haven't joined, we'd love to have you in that group because today it's really nice, but on an active weather day like we're going to see later in the week, we'll have a lot of updates for you throughout the afternoons. So into tomorrow morning, we'll have about 60 to 70 when you wake up. It'll be a really pleasant night here across the state. A nice morning, but it's going to be a hot day tomorrow, so you'll want to get outside early. Salt Lake City at 8 a.m. temperatures near 70. By noon tomorrow, we're close to 90 degrees, and we are going to end up with our monsoonal moisture making a pretty big comeback here across the state, especially by Wednesday and for quite a while after that. So coming up later in the hour, we'll talk more about where we have a flooding chance tomorrow and when we have a chance for some storms here along the Wasatch Front.
Thanks, Allison. We still have a lot more ahead on Fox 13 News at 9. Coming up, what solutions could be coming to help solve the affordable housing crisis in Moab and what county leaders discussed tonight.
And first responders and the people they have saved come together for an unforgettable reunion in Murray tonight. We'll show you.
And will Spida be staying or going? Where the trade rumors for Jazz star Donovan Mitchell stand tonight, still ahead in sports.
It was a deadly weekend in Gaza in the violent conflict between Israel and the Islamic Jihad. 44 militants and civilians were killed. It was the most serious escalation in nearly 15 months and was what Israel called a precise preemptive strike on the two commanders of the Islamic Jihad in Gaza. Hamas, the military group that controls Gaza, stayed out of the fight. And the rest of the Arab world remained silent on the conflict. And now there is a ceasefire between Israel and the Islamic Jihad. Law professor Amos Giora, seen here with the University of Utah, spoke with us from Jerusalem today. He is a retired colonel with the Israeli Defense Forces and says it's the economics of the non-militant Palestinian population that is at the center of the ceasefire that seems to be holding.
There are extremists here and there are extremists here. It's that swath in the middle that's the critical question. And if that swath in the middle feels that jobs and economic viability and food on the table for their kids, does that make me an optimist? Does it make me a realist? Who knows, right? But the ceasefire holds, people want to work, and that's why I am allowing myself to say maybe there's a chance.
Professor Giora says Utahns should care very much about what's happening in the Middle East because of what a flashpoint it is for larger conflicts and conditions around the world.
Well, just into the Fox 13 newsroom, a construction worker in Park City had to be taken to the hospital after an on-site accident this evening. Firefighters say around 5:30 p.m., crews were dispatched to a construction site on Upper Evergreen where someone was completely buried by equipment. First responders and construction crew members were able to dig them out. That victim was conscious, breathing, and alert. The cause of the accident is still under investigation. Nearly 36 firefighters, police officers, and even citizens are being celebrated tonight for helping save lives during two separate cases in Murray.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with the two survivors of those incidents and the people who saved them.
I know I could have lost my life.
Heather Van Borum says she was at the Costco in Murray on December 20th of last year to go shopping. She says as she was headed into the store, she heard some commotion nearby.
Turned to look and saw a car headed towards me, and I was hit by that car into another car.
Dozens of employees at Costco and even first responders jumped in immediately to help Heather. One of those was Tad Rabin, a paramedic with the Murray City Fire Department.
We took over from that point, put on some more tourniquets up high, got them nice and tight, stopped that blood flow.
Heather would have one leg amputated from the accident and another later on, but it was those like Rabin that ultimately saved her life.
She was getting pretty close. She was still conscious and talking, just asking for pain meds.
The efforts by Rabin and others to save Heather's life were recognized during the Murray Safety Fair over at Murray Park.
Wilden.
As one by one, those who played a role in saving her life received an award and even a warm embrace from Heather.
Sometimes it's as small as helping someone off the floor.
The event also honoring the heroic efforts of 5 other people who stepped in and stepped up to save 15-year-old Cole Andrew from nearly drowning in a backyard pool in Murray back in April.
Trying to get out of the pool, trying to push myself up out of the pool, and I wasn't able to, and then I kind of just lost consciousness.
His friend Malachi Merrill was there to help drag him out of the pool and keep him from drowning.
We didn't know exactly how Cole was doing, so it definitely felt like it could have been life or death situation.
For those like Rabin, he got emotional, saying this was the first time he had seen Heather since December.
It was wonderful. It's good to see people out walking around.
A sentiment echoed by those like Heather.
The fact that I've lost my legs is just pales in comparison to what could have been.
Both Cole and Heather reiterated just how lucky they feel to be alive. They're also very grateful for all the men and women who stepped up to help them when they needed it the most. Here in Murray, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Wow, what a story.
Great story there.
Yeah.
Well, this is a beautiful view as we close out Monday night here. The weather this weekend, it was so nice to get that cool down here in the northern part of the state.
Yeah.
And some rain as well, Allison.
Just in time for tomorrow's close to 95 degrees for many of you. We're going to continue with some hot temperatures for the next few days, and then we'll see some more mild temperatures returning. But I wanted to start with our area of high pressure by Thursday and where that will be located. So fast forwarding a few days, this area of high pressure is going to be parked off to our east. So we're going to have this clockwise flow, and that's going to allow us to tap into some monsoonal moisture moving up from the south. Now here in Salt Lake City right now, it is currently 84 degrees. Feels like 82 though with your wind currently about 10 miles per hour out of the north here in Salt Lake. And we have dry conditions here across the state, but things will be changing tomorrow. We've got a few showers near the Idaho border this evening, near the Arizona border this evening, excuse me, and we're going to continue with some chances for storms over the next couple of days, especially midweek to end of the week. So Salt Lake City overnight, you'll drop into the 60s after midnight. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be about 65 to 70 degrees here along the Wasatch Front with mostly clear sky. And then into tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have the storms starting to develop in southwest Utah after lunch. By dinner time tomorrow, we'll still have some areas of heavy rainfall across southwest Utah. So wind tomorrow, calm when you wake up, and then by tomorrow afternoon, that wind will be about 15 to 30 miles per hour for southwest Utah. But first thing tomorrow, get out early. We're going to end up with those temperatures really hot in the afternoon hours. So by Tuesday at 7 a.m., about 65 to 70 for the Wasatch Front. So for Provo, Salt Lake, Ogden, Tooele, Wendover, you're all comfortable in the 60s tomorrow morning. For the Cache Valley, you will drop into the 50s. Park City drops into the 40s, 60 for Vernal, 62 for Price, and 80 tomorrow morning in St. George. And Salt Lake City tomorrow for a high 96 degrees with plenty of sunshine. By tomorrow afternoon, mid-90s for the Wasatch Front, also mid-90s for the St. George area. So it's going to be a hot day here across the state, but St. George, your additional clouds and afternoon storms will actually keep you from getting too terribly hot as you head into tomorrow. So chance of precipitation for St. George, you are looking at some scattered storms. After that, widely scattered through your entire 7-day forecast. For Ogden, you also have some chances for storms, but it's going to be isolated to widely scattered Wednesday through the rest of your 7-day forecast. And for Provo, your chance is a little better. Let's go ahead and look at Thursday day. That's some scattered storms. Beyond that, widely scattered Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then some more chances for Sunday and Monday for scattered storms. St. George, your mid to upper 90s tomorrow. 94 degrees heading into Wednesday, and will keep you in the mid-90s for much of your 7-day forecast with the chances for storms over the next week. For the Wasatch Front, we are in the 90s for 2 more days. Then we'll drop close to 90 for a high with chances for storms. We'll break down our chance for rain here in Salt Lake later in the hour.
Allison, thanks so much. Straight ahead, could the way medical cannabis be governed in Utah change in the future? What 2 groups on Utah's Capitol Hill want to do.
And UTA's on-demand service has become so successful, it's expanding. We'll show you where. The Grand County Planning Commission met today to discuss proposals for which they want public comment.
One of the proposals is launching a pilot program for an alternative dwelling community. The commission discussed details involving land use and zoning, along with the types of buildings that can be built in the new community.
Dwelling types include KOA-style cabins or tiny homes, modular homes, RVs or travel trailers, and camper vans or trucks.
Other issues discussed in the meeting included a proposed unified transportation master plan that would be worked in partnership with the city of Moab.
State lawmakers could be shaking up who oversees medical cannabis in Utah. At a meeting of a working group today, the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food and the Department of Health and Human Services said they don't support putting medical cannabis under one roof. They say a central commission gives too much power to the marijuana industry and increases costs. But the agencies do support some changes to make it easier for patients and the cannabis industry. The legislature is expected to take up the matter next January.
Tomorrow, the Salt Lake County Council will vote on a resolution calling for more to be done to save the Great Salt Lake. As Fox 13 News has been reporting, the lake has hit an all-time low, and that means less snowpack, increased toxic dust, and impacts to people and wildlife. The resolution calls for Salt Lake County to join state and federal partners to act quickly to try and help save it.
The FBI conducts a search of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. What we're learning coming up.
And she was idolized by millions of fans for decades. Olivia Newton-John has passed away. We'll take a look back at her life and legacy. The big national story tonight, the Department of Justice confirms the FBI conducted a raid on former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home as part of an investigation into documents reportedly removed from the White House.
But Mr. Trump says this is just a political move to stop him from running in 2024. Fox's Caroline Shively has more from Washington.
This is really extraordinary to have a raid like this occur.
A large group of FBI agents executing an unannounced raid on President Trump's West Palm Beach home at Mar-a-Lago on Monday. Federal authorities appear to be focused on potential classified material the former president took with him when he left the White House in January 2021, not anything related to the January 6th Capitol riot. Agents reportedly took 15 boxes from the home.
The FBI doesn't just go in unless a judge signs off on a search warrant. That means they have some probable evidence about possible wrongdoing.
The 45th president was not inside the home at the time. Instead, he was at Trump Tower in New York City. Releasing a statement announcing the raid, saying in part, quote, "This unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system." The former president says agents also broke into a personal safe in his home. He believes the raid stemmed from people who do not want him to run for another term in the White House in 2024.
It just does not add up. It looks to everybody watching this like a political hit, especially given the timing of this.
A law enforcement official tells Fox that Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Christopher Wray were aware of the sweep before it happened and will continue to be briefed. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox 13 News, Utah.
President Biden visited Kentucky today to survey flood damage there. Historic floods ravaged the state almost 2 weeks ago now. The president finished his COVID-19 isolation, brought a clear message to the people of Kentucky. The federal government will not abandon the state as they deal with recovery efforts. He promised more funding. President Biden also met face-to-face with families who lost nearly everything.
4 ambush-style shootings of Muslim men in Albuquerque are paralyzing that city's Muslim community. The horrifying deaths are causing some businesses to close early and some families to stay home. Police are investigating whether the shootings are linked, but city and religious leaders say the connections are clear.
This is unprecedented. You know, the Muslim community is no stranger to hate crimes and acts of hate, but we've never seen something like this.
Police are looking for a vehicle which they say may have ties to each shooting. Law enforcement is also stepping up protection at mosques and the surrounding areas.
The 3 Georgia men found guilty of federal hate crimes in connection to the murder of Ahmaud Arbery received more prison time today. Travis McMichael and his father Gregory, they were each sentenced to a second life sentence. William Roddy Bryan has been sentenced to 35 years on top of the life sentence he must serve for the state of Georgia. All 3 men are serving life sentences after a state trial convicted them of murdering 25-year-old Arbery after chasing him down and shooting him in February of 2020 while he was out for a jog.
Pulitzer Prize-winning historical novel author David McCullough has died. His son says he died peacefully at his home in Massachusetts yesterday at the age of 89. McCullough earned 2 Pulitzer Prizes for his biographies of U.S. Presidents Harry Truman and John Adams. In 2006, President George W. Bush awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. David McCullough is preceded in death by his wife Rosalie, who passed away in June, and survived by 5 children and 19 grandchildren.
Tell me about it, Stud.
Well, beloved singer and actress Olivia Newton-John died this morning. She was 73 years old. Her husband, John Easterling, says she passed away peacefully at her home in Southern California. He did not give a cause of death, but Newton-John had battled breast cancer for more than 30 years. She first found success as a singer and rose to even greater fame as Sandy in the movie adaptation of Grease. Now, her Grease co-star and good friend, John Travolta, reacted to today's news, writing on Instagram, quote, "My dearest Olivia, you made all of our lives so much better. Your impact was incredible. I love you so much. We will see you down the road, and we will all be together again. Yours from the first moment I saw you and forever. Your Danny, your John."
It's water as far as the eye can see here at the Bonneville Salt Flats.
Mother Nature's just not much you can do about it.
The impact of cancellation that Speed Week might have on the surrounding community.
A renewed push to repeal the Navajo Nation's ban on same-sex marriage.
And coming up, we do have some areas of smoke out there today, what you can expect for haze tomorrow, and also the timing of more storms here across the state.
If you have the need for speed, you won't get it at the Bonneville Salt Flats this week. The Southern California Timing Association canceled Speed Week because of the weekend's rain that submerged the Salt Flats.
Yeah, they really had no choice. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph caught up with some of the disappointed racers now on their way out of town.
A lot of water. That's a lot of rain.
What was supposed to be a week of speed and excitement,
Because that's a big lake now,
has turned to disappointment as the rains over the weekend have turned the Bonneville Salt Flats into a lake.
Here at the edge of the raceway, you can send the water that extends out for miles in every direction. Race directors say there was no way this was going to dry out in time to get any runs in.
Yeah, it's tough. We come out here once a year and for it to rain like this. And
This is Brian Hope, one of many racers that have had to cancel their plans and go back home.
we've been through these rainouts before. This is the worst one we've ever experienced.
We drove 1,900 miles one way to get here.
Another is Ted Higginbottom. He's from Texas.
I feel bad for especially the SCTA that put on this event. They had all the volunteers that had been working for weeks.
His team M2K Motorsports was really looking forward to this year with a new car in tow.
In fact, we just actually finished it 2 days before we left to come out here.
With all that mud and salt, many trucks and RVs were covered in dirt, needing a wash. That's where these high school students come in.
This is like the main fundraiser for cheerleaders, so this is like where they earn all their money.
They're out here every year to raise money for cheerleading uniforms.
Okay, is that good?
But they fear this year might now not be as successful because of the cancellation.
I think we'll be okay today. We usually go a whole week. I don't know if we'll get to do the whole week though.
Really, it was just kind of sad to see everyone's look on every face because it's once a year and everyone looks forward to it, and having it be rained out with no festivities was just a bummer.
The Nugget in Wendover is the home base for a lot of festivities. General Manager Keith Frayne knows how much this means to the town.
It definitely is a huge, if not the biggest week that we look forward to all year as a community and city. Hotel revenue, food and beverage revenue, the restaurants, the gas station, everyone prospers from this weekend.
But everyone agreeing on one thing.
Can't control Mother Nature.
In Wendover, Spencer Joseph.
It's nothing anybody could have done about it.
Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, we'll share with you the touching story of a friendship between a front-runner attendant and a teenage rider.
Coming up in sports, I'll give you an update on a potential Donovan Mitchell trade, and college football camps continue around Utah. BYU looked good today, and the Utes, where they are in the preseason coaches poll. Tell you all that coming up in sports.
Since time immemorial, we've always existed. We've always had roles within the community.
Happy Pride.
Now there's a renewed effort to repeal a ban on same-sex marriage on the nation's largest tribal lands. LGBTQ rights activists on the Navajo Nation now pushing their government to repeal the ban.
As Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow explains, it may get new momentum in an election year.
This year's Navajo Pride events featured a number of political candidates running for office and a renewed call for marriage equality.
To make sure and pass the Diné Marriage Equality Act that guarantees marriages among same-sex couples across the Navajo Nation.
While marriage equality has been the law of the land in the United States since 2015, it's not the case on the sovereign Navajo Nation. A bill has been introduced in the 24th Navajo Nation Council to repeal their legal ban on same-sex marriage, known as the Diné Marriage Act. Its sponsor says this is important.
I don't feel that discriminating other Navajos. It's not right within our own way of life. That's the reason why I'm pushing this.
Not only will it guarantee equal marriage for all Navajo people, it will also reform Navajo law to ensure that we protect the rights of our Navajo women. Currently, our tribal code under this particular marriage law, the Diné Marriage Act, it says within the tribal code that our women have to receive permission from their husbands or their spouse to make decisions over their health care, and also their financial decisions.
It's been attempted before, but this year seems to have more backing.
We need to start having a dialogue again about what it is to be Navajo. Who have we left behind?
At the Utah Governor's Native American Summit, another member of the Navajo Nation Council told Fox 13 News he's willing to discuss it.
You know, how do we start these discussions as well?
Do you have a position on whether it should be repealed or not?
I don't have an official position as of yet, no.
Supporters of the Diné Marriage Equality Act are counting votes.
I believe that the Navajo Nation will take historic action within the next couple of months, especially during an election year.
Some religious groups are opposing a repeal. The Navajo Nation president has suggested a public vote on same-sex marriage, something Navajo Pride says it opposes. But the LGBTQ rights activists say passing a repeal will send a powerful message.
Diné Navajo kids, especially those that may be questioning are still in the closet, that their government has their backs and it's okay for them to be who they are, but also sends a message to our gay and lesbian Navajo couples living off the Navajo Nation to tell them, come home, you're welcome here.
Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, how about this? The Utah Transit Authority's UTA On Demand app is expanding into Davis and Tooele counties. UTA On Demand works just like ride-sharing apps such as Uber and Lyft, except it's all locally owned and operated. UTA has been experimenting with this in the southern part of Salt Lake County and also in Rose Park with plenty of success, and they hope to expand on that in these neighboring counties.
But here's the really neat thing about it is you don't necessarily have to use it to go to a UTA connecting point. If you've got a doctor's appointment and you want to take that and go to your doctor's appointment, if it's in that service area, you can do that. If you want to go to shops somewhere in that area or pick up your car, as long as it's in that service area, you can use On Demand.
Sounds convenient. We do have additional information, also a link on our website. Find it at fox13now.com if you're interested in learning more.
A chance encounter on a front-runner train turned into a touching and beautiful relationship. Merrick Kinzer who rides the front runner train with his mother every day, saw a gold chain worn by one of the train attendants. Bill Chilton, the attendant who owns the chain, noticed that Merrick fell in love with it. So Bill decided to give Merrick the chain. And since then, the two of them have become close friends.
So Bill is very, very important to us, and I would even say family at this point. Little did he know a simple act of kindness on the train would bring a lifelong relationship that is just so tender and special.
Bill says he's not looking for any recognition. However, Karina says that if there were more people like him, the world would be a better place.
Well, we'll have some haze into the overnight hours here across the state. This is a live look at our surface smoke currently into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. We will continue with some haze here across the state, but we'll see that thinning out into Tuesday evening, and we're really going to see the precipitation ramping up towards the middle of the week. Right now, 84 in Salt Lake, 85 in Ogden, and 75 degrees currently in Provo. Here's what I want you to know for the overnight hours. It'll be comfortable early tomorrow morning, and it's going to be hot into the afternoon hours tomorrow. So about 60 to 74 an overnight temp for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden. We'll have dry conditions here across the state tomorrow morning, and then into tomorrow afternoon. Temps will be hot for the Wasatch Front. We will stay sunny. We'll have the clouds once you get down towards about Manti and further south. And we're also going to see the bulk of our precipitation near I-70 and south of I-70 as we head into tomorrow. And then by Wednesday, we are looking at our best chance for heaviest rainfall for much of the state, highlighted in green. That's a marginal risk. And a slightly higher risk would be this area highlighted in yellow from the Idaho border all along the Utah and Nevada border down into St. George, Cedar City, and into northwest Arizona. So that's what we'll see, our chance for some scattered flash flooding as we head into tomorrow, and then we head into Wednesday. For tomorrow, our flash flood rating is probable for Bryce Canyon, for Glen Canyon, Grand Staircase, and Zion National Park. So we're really focusing on southwest Utah tomorrow, and then for western Utah and actually much of the state as we head into Wednesday. So for St. George, you're in the mid to upper 90s Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday through your entire 7-day forecast. You'll continue with chances for storms through much of the next week. Maybe a little bit of a break by Wednesday. For the Wasatch Front, we'll have 96 tomorrow, 93 degrees for a high on Wednesday. And let's go ahead and look at this air quality for you. We'll have moderate air quality Tuesday and Wednesday. By Thursday, 89, Friday, 89, Saturday, 89 degrees here in Salt Lake City. And our chance for storms here in Salt Lake will be dry tomorrow. Then we'll have some widely scattered storms Wednesday night. By Thursday and Friday, we'll have some scattered storms, and we'll continue with widely scattered storms after that. By next Sunday and Monday, we'll keep you close to 90 degrees here in Salt Lake City. And as we look at our precipitation outlook for week 2, so this is after our 7-day forecast, the 16th of August to the 22nd, we keep a bullseye here across the state for above average precipitation after the 7-day forecast for week 2.
Well, it appears like trade rumors for Donovan Mitchell have slowed down. I was told the Jazz are still very active, listening to offers from several NBA teams. Jazz are taking their time to make sure they get the best deal in the trade for the 3-time NBA All-Star. They want to find the right team to make a trade with that'll give them the highest draft picks in future NBA drafts. That makes a lot of sense. If the team they make a trade struggles with over the next few years, the first-round picks the Jazz acquire will be better than possible lottery picks. The Utah football team ranked 8th in the preseason coaches poll. BYU and Utah stayed among the other teams receiving votes. The Cougars 29th in the voting and the Aggies 39th. The Utes return a lot of talent from last year's team that won the Pac-12 championship, so they've earned this respect. Now they have to deal with the high expectations.
Well, you got to just embrace them. I mean, they are there. There's no hiding from them. Just meet them head on and understand that we're getting a lot of national attention, and we've got to be mature enough to handle it and continue to go about our business the right way, not think that we've got all the answers, that we've arrived, but still understand that we do have high expectations.
It's day 4 fall camp for BYU. This is running back Christopher Brooks. he could be good this year. And here's the highlight of the day. Starting quarterback Jaron Hall to Chase Roberts. Few star players did not practice, including wide receiver Gunnar Romney and tight end Dallin Holker, but that does not mean they are injured. It's about having players healthy and ready for the season opener.
There's a number of offensive players that we're going to give a day off to here and there. That could be a regular thing, like Isaac Rex is going to have some days off, Puka, Dallin Holker is getting some days off. So it's a calculated move by us to get to the first game with all of our best players. We just want to be smart, especially with the guys that have played a lot of football for us. We want to be as smart as we can.
Well, Utah State had their 10th day of fall camp today. The Aggies special teams could be a strength of the team with returning kicker, punter, along with long snapper from last season. The Aggies kicking game can be something that's overlooked at times, but the Aggies have seen it win them games in the past, and they're looking good this fall.
Camp's going well for the specialists. They're doing a really good job. It's nice having all of them back, obviously, which helps. So they know the system. The timing's been great. The kicks have been great.
The expectation is to be consistent. Like we saw last year, we can win and lose games on special teams. And so just being consistent and making sure that we're doing what the team needs us to when they need us to do it.
Every part of football is important, the offense, defense, and special teams.
To BYU's point, though, of resting some players, you got to get them ready, but yet you don't want to get them injured.
No. That happens. So that's what BYU's trying to do, calculated time off.
And I noticed they're using just Puka. That's the name, Puka. Not Puka Nakua.
Oh, there you go.
Just
Some
Puka.
people have just
kind of like Madonna.
Or Prince.
Or Prince.
Or Cher.
Or Kelly.
Or Kelly, yeah, right. We'll be right back. Okay, the Golden Girls have made a return in the form of a restaurant. Oh my gosh. A vacant Beverly Hills bistro has been transformed into the Golden Girls kitchen with replicas of famous items from the show. The pop-up eatery only has reservations through late October. There are plans, however, to take this on the road to other cities. I hope Salt Lake's on the list. Bring on the cheesecake.
Dinner at 3.
Yeah, there we go. Quick Cast is up next.